You probably think you know which team's going to dominate the Women's Rugby World Cup 2025, right? England's the favourite, New Zealand's the defending champion, and France has that flair. But here's the thing. This tournament is about to flip everything you think you know about women's rugby on its head. We're talking about 16 nations for the first time since 2002, each with their own deadly weapons, fatal flaws, and reasons why they could either lift the trophy or crash out in spectacular fashion. England, the Red Roses. Let's start with the elephant in the room. England, the Red Roses aren't just favourites. They're basically the Death Star of women's rugby right now. They've been dominating the Women's Six Nations and sitting pretty at the top of the world rugby rankings. These women are professional athletes in every sense of the word, training full-time, getting paid proper salaries, and treating rugby like the serious business it is. But here's what makes them terrifying. They don't just beat teams, they systematically dismantle them. Their forward pack is like a wrecking crew with PhDs. Captain Marley Packer is an absolute force at the breakdown, the kind of player who makes opposing coaches lose sleep. And then there's Zoe Aldcroft, the 2023 World Rugby Women's 15s Player of the Year. This lot doesn't just win lineouts, she owns them. The scary part for everyone else is that England peaked at exactly the right time. They've been clinical in the Six Nations, their depth chart reads like a who's who of world rugby. And when your second string players could start for most other countries, you know you're in a good place. But, and there's always a but, pressure does funny things to favourites. The weight of expectation, the target on their back, and the fact that everyone's studying their game plan could be their Achilles heel. Plus, rugby's a funny game. One red card, one injury to a key player, and suddenly the machine starts to wobble. New Zealand, the Black Ferns. Now let's talk about the defending champions who refuse to go quietly into the night. New Zealand. The Black Ferns are like that ex who keeps showing up at parties looking incredible just to remind you what you lost. They might have had mixed results recently, but writing off the reigning World Cup winners is like betting against experience when it matters most. Here's the thing about the Black Ferns. They've got something you can't coach and something that makes coaches wake up in cold sweats. Players like Portia Woodman-Wycliffe are among the most prolific try scorers in the history of the game. When she gets the ball in space, physics seems to take a coffee break, and with Ruahe Demant pulling the strings at fly half as co-captain, they've got the playmaking genius to unlock any defense. Their recent form has been patchy, sure, but that's exactly what makes them dangerous. Wounded animals fight the hardest, and New Zealand at a World Cup is like a different species entirely. They've got that championship DNA, that ability to find another gear when the lights are brightest. And let's not forget, they hold the record for most tries in a single World Cup tournament and absolutely demolished Germany 134-6 back in 1998. Still the highest points total by a single team. The problem is consistency. When your starting 15 is firing, you're unstoppable. But if injuries start piling up or the magic isn't flowing, that famous All Blacks aura starts to fade pretty quickly. France, Les Bleus. France is rugby's most beautiful disaster waiting to happen. 1 minute they're playing like they've got the rugby gods on speed dial, the next they're throwing passes to the crowd like they're handing out free samples. But that's exactly why they're so dangerous. You never know which France is going to show up. When France is on, they're poetry in motion. Their offloading game is like watching jazz musicians improvise. It shouldn't work, but somehow it's absolutely perfect. With Captain Manaï Filot leading from the front with her powerful and dynamic forward play, they've got the leadership to channel that French flair into something devastating. The French pack has gotten seriously physical too. They're not just about the pretty stuff anymore. They'll grind you down in the trenches, then hit you with a piece of magic when you least expect it. Their recent Six Nations campaign showed they're genuine contenders, finishing as runners-up and proving they can mix it with the best. But here's France's eternal problem: consistency. They can look world-class 1 week and amateur the next. Their discipline can go from military precision to complete chaos in the span of 5 minutes. When the pressure's on, they sometimes try to force the magic instead of just playing smart rugby. Still, in a knockout tournament, that unpredictability becomes a weapon. Teams can't game plan for chaos, and France at their best is beautiful, brilliant chaos. Australia, the Wallaroos. Australia's in a fascinating spot right now. The Wallaroos have been competitive in the Pacific 4 series, series, showing they've got the pieces to trouble anyone on their day. With players like rising star Desiree Miller bringing exceptional speed on the wing and veteran Laurie Kramer providing that calm leadership and powerful boot, they've got the talent to make noise. Their recent performances have been encouraging. They're more organised than they used to be, more disciplined, and they've developed some genuine game breakers in their back line. When they get their rolling maul going, they can bulldoze through most defences. The challenge for Australia is mental consistency. They'll dominate for long stretches, build decent leads, then sometimes let teams back into games. It's like they're still learning how to close out the big moments against top-tier opposition. But here's why you can't count them out. Australian teams have a habit of peaking at World Cups. Something about the big stage brings out their best, and they've got enough individual brilliance to trouble anyone on their day. If they can sort out their game management, they could be the tournament's dark horse. Canada, the Maple Leafs. Canada's been one of the most impressive teams in recent form, securing second place in the Pacific Four Series and climbing to number 2 in the world rankings. With Sophie Decoded leading the charge as an exceptional leader and complete player, they've got the foundation to make a serious run. Decoded is the kind of player who does everything: ball carrying, line-out work, goal kicking, leadership. She's basically a Swiss Army knife in rugby boots, and when she's firing, Canada looks like a completely different team. Their recent performances have shown they're not just making up the numbers anymore. The Maple Leafs have that North American physicality that can rattle opponents, but they've added structure and game management to their traditional strengths. They're no longer just relying on individual moments of brilliance. They're playing as a cohesive unit with clear game plans. The question is whether they can maintain that level consistently throughout a World Cup. Tournament rugby is different from series rugby, and the pressure ramps up with each game. But if their recent form is anything to go by, Canada could be the surprise package of this tournament. Ireland. Ireland's been on an incredible journey, and their recent performances in the Six Nations showed they're genuine contenders now. With co-captain Edel McMahon bringing that ferocious work rate and tackling ability, they've got the leadership to handle the big moments. What's impressive about Ireland is their game management. They've learned how to control matches, how to build pressure, and how to take their chances when they come. It's the kind of rugby intelligence that usually takes years to develop, but they've fast-tracked the process through smart coaching and player development. Their Six Nations campaign was a statement of intent. They didn't just compete with the big guns. They genuinely looked like they belonged in the same conversation. Their forward pack has developed real bite, and their backline has the pace and skill to punish mistakes. The question mark is whether they can handle the pressure of expectation. Being the hunters is one thing. Being among the hunted is completely different. If they can maintain their composure under pressure, they could go deep in this tournament. Scotland. Scotland's the ultimate wild card in this tournament. With captain Rachel Malcolm leading a tenacious back row, they're good enough to beat anyone on their day, inconsistent enough to lose to anyone on their off day, and unpredictable enough that even they probably don't know which version will show up. When Scotland's firing, they play some of the most entertaining rugby in the women's game. They're not afraid to throw the ball around, they've got pace out wide, and their forward pack has developed a real edge. Malcolm brings that Scottish fighting spirit that can lift the whole team when things get tough. The problem is that they're still learning how to be consistent at this level. They'll put together brilliant performances against top teams, then immediately follow it up with a head-scratching result. Their recent Six Nations campaign showed both sides of their character, but in a knockout tournament, consistency matters less than peak performance. If Scotland can hit their ceiling at the right moment, they could cause some serious damage. They're the team that could either go out in the group stage or make the semi-finals, and honestly, both outcomes seem equally likely. Italy, the Azure. Italy's the team everyone loves to underestimate, and that's exactly how they like it. With captain Elisa Giordano leading from the back row, they've been quietly building something special. They're not going to blow you away with individual brilliance, but they'll grind you down with discipline, structure, and an absolute refusal to give up. Their recent Six Nations campaign showed what they're capable of, finishing ahead of both Scotland and Wales. Their defensive system is becoming genuinely impressive, and they've developed a kicking game that can frustrate teams that want to play expansive rugby. The Italian pack might not have the star power of England or France, but they're organised, committed, and surprisingly mobile. Giordano's leadership has been crucial in developing that never-say-die attitude that makes them dangerous opponents. Don't expect Italy to win the whole thing, but don't be shocked if they knock out a higher-ranked team either. They're the definition of dangerous underdogs, good enough to cause upsets, organised enough to execute game plans, and hungry enough to give everything they've got. United States. The Women's Eagles, the USA is rugby's sleeping giant, and they're finally starting to wake up. With experienced captain Kate Zachary providing pivotal leadership, they've got the foundation to build something special. The resources, the athletic talent pool, and the growing interest in rugby should make them a major force. Their recent performances have been encouraging. They're more organised than they used to be, more disciplined, and they've developed some genuine game breakers in their back line. When they get their offloading game going, they can be genuinely dangerous. The American pack has always had the physicality. These women are athletes in the truest sense, but they've been working on the technical aspects of the game, the set-piece battles, and the tactical nuances that separate good teams from great ones. This World Cup feels like a measuring stick for USA Rugby. They're good enough to compete with anyone, but are they good enough to consistently beat the teams they should beat? If they can show that kind of reliability, they'll be a force to reckon with for years to come. Wales is in transition right now, caught between building for the future and trying to compete in the present. With Alex Callender providing relentless defensive work in the back row, they've got players who understand what it takes. Their recent Six Nations was challenging, but Wales has a habit of rising to big occasions. If they can rediscover their attacking edge, they could surprise people. Japan, the Sakura 15. Japan plays rugby like a perfectly choreographed dance. With captain Iroha Nagata leading from the front row, they make up for size with speed, skill, and rugby intelligence. Their passing game is beautiful to watch, but they struggle when games turn physical. They're the team that could either bow out quietly or produce the tournament's biggest upset. South Africa, the Springbok women. South Africa's building something special from the ground up. With captain Nolusindiso Bui bringing experienced leadership from the lock position, they've got that South African DNA. Physical, committed, and refusing to take backward steps. They're not ready to win this World Cup, but they're laying foundations for future success and could cause upsets along the way. Fiji, the Fijiana. Fiji brings pure magic to this tournament. Captain Alfreda Fisher leads a team that plays rugby like art, impossible offloads, physics-defying footwork, and uniquely beautiful Fijian style. When the magic flows, they're mesmerizing. When it doesn't, they're vulnerable. Classic boom or bust team that could beat anyone or lose to anyone. Spain, Las Leonas. Spain's the ultimate underdog story. Captain Laura Delgado leads a team that earned their place through determination and gradual improvement. They're organised, unified, and make few errors, playing for pride and experience rather than trophies, but that freedom could make them dangerous spoilers. Brazil, as Yaras. Brazil brings South American flair mixed with famous Brazilian sporting culture. With Captain Eshilin Coimbra leading from scrum half, they've recently reached their highest ever world ranking. Their rugby might still be developing, but their athleticism is undeniable. Every minute on the field is an investment in Brazilian rugby's future. Samoa, the Manusina. Samoa completes our 16-team lineup with captain Sui Tawawa Poweraisa providing leadership from the front row. They bring Pacific Island passion and physicality that makes every game an event. Limited resources but unlimited heart. They're here to make their mark and show that rugby truly is a global game. So there you have it. 16 teams, 16 different stories, and one trophy up for grabs. England might be the favourites, but Rugby World Cups have a habit of producing surprises. New Zealand's got that championship experience with 6 trophies in their cabinet. France could explode into brilliance at any moment, and teams like Canada and Ireland are hungrier than ever. Which team do you think will lift the trophy? And more importantly, which underdog is going to cause the biggest upset? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this breakdown, there's plenty more rugby content coming your way. I'd greatly appreciate it if you could subscribe. Thanks for watching.